There is a core in the body where life seems to fall asleep. There the flow withdraws, and what should blossom remains suspended as if waiting for a signal that never comes. The heat builds up, yet it does not turn into movement. The breath reaches this point, but pulls back before crossing it. Desire ignites, but finds no passage. Small signs reveal its presence. A tension that always returns to the same spot. A shiver without cause. A silent weight taking up more space than it should. They are echoes of something contained before you even knew it existed. While this core remains closed, all the strength that could create, move, and transform stays trapped at its very source. What beats in this sleeping core is not absence. It is contained excess. They are invisible layers that have built up over a lifetime until the original flow was smothered. These layers are not random. The veils, each with its own force of retention, have settled over the creative foundation, deep where the sacrum supports the body. The emotional veil, shaped by memories that never found release. The ancestral veil, woven from inherited stories that did not belong to you, yet were handed down as a silent legacy. The sexual veil which twisted the creative, spark until it became containment or dispersion, and the energetic veil which broke the bridge between desire and its expression in the world. What you will go through here is not a concept. It is an ancestral code carved into 4 almost imperceptible gestures, micro-movements capable of dissolving these layers one by one. They are not stretches. They are not postures. They are not exercises to be performed in an attempt to get better. They are vibrational keys that speak directly to the memory imprinted in your structure and stored in the deep axis of the pelvis. Each gesture opens a specific portal. Each portal releases a part of the strength that was held back. And when the 4 aligns, something forgotten awakens, not as a sudden shock, but as a pulse that begins to circulate through the whole body. This crossing does not happen through the mind. It happens in the language your body knew before pain. And once this pulse awakens, it does not fall asleep again. Graham wakes before the sun, but not by choice. The body decides for him as if an invisible alarm had gone off inside. He lies there staring at the ceiling, feeling the familiar weight at the base of his back, a weight that does not hurt but occupies. When he finally rises, his feet touch the floor as if there were not enough ground to hold him. He moves quietly through the house, carrying the strange sense that every gesture costs more than it should. The coffee grows cold on the table before the first sip. As the day goes on, Graham does what is needed. Yet without truly passing through the things he does, conversations are brief. Laughter is measured. His eyes avoid lingering on anything that might awaken him too much. There is a containment that is not a choice. It is instinct. Sometimes in the middle of a simple movement, a shiver runs along the base of his spine. He freezes for a moment as if he had heard a call, but quickly resumes what he was doing. This call has no sound. It is more like an inner touch, a pressure that tries to expand and retreats. By late afternoon, sitting by a window, he notices a slight tremor in his hands. It is not cold. It is not fear. It is something trying to break through a limit he did not know existed. Graham does not understand what it is, but in that instant, he knows that if he keeps ignoring it, something vital will remain asleep, and the feeling that something needs to break through grows stronger. In the healing temples of Egypt, it was taught that the base of the body holds the fire of creation. It is not imposed. It is summoned. Tantra and Taoist alchemy preserve the same principle. Micro-movements awaken what has been contained. They are codes of opening, not exercises to do it right. In current language, somatic neuroscience shows that moving areas of retention with awareness reactivates networks linked to implicit memory. When the body feels safe, the smallest gesture disarms protection patterns and restores the passage. Refined interception gives a name to what pulses within and reconnects emotion and action. The pelvic fascia, dense, sensitive, and continuous, records what the system needed to hold. When stimulated with subtlety, it changes its tone, releases adhesions, and reorganizes chains that reach the diaphragm and jaw. It is the tissue remembering it can glide again, In heritage studies, Rachel Yehuda demonstrates epigenetic marks of trauma passing through generations. Mark Wallen brings this recognition into everyday life. Stories that did not begin in us, yet live within us. The result is a body that responds to old scripts as if they were current. In this convergence, the veils take shape: emotional, ancestral, sexual, and energetic, operating as protective layers. They are not enemies. They are responses that have remained active for too long. The way out begins small, precise, measured in safe ground. Micro-movements work like passwords. The tissue yields. The neural network updates. The autonomic system releases silent freeze. The energy that was held at the base finds its way again. That is why traditions speak of the inner furnace and science of neural and tissue plasticity. Two languages, the same phenomenon opening what was sealed without violence. When this center responds, the whole body reorganizes its rhythm. There are 4 veils guarding the creative center. Each veil responds to a different password. Each password is a micro-movement. When a key turns, a portal opens within. Close your eyes and allow the weight to find support. Let the breath touch the base of the spine without forcing it. Feel the air arrive and recede like a contained tide. This is the threshold of the first axis. Micro-movement 1, emotional veil. Bring your attention to the sacrum at the meeting point, between the lower back and the hips. Begin a minimal sway, almost invisible, as if rocking something ancient. Do not push, invite. With each tiny sway, release fine threads of contraction that were holding memories. Notice the tissue yielding slightly, as if creating space within. The air begins to expand on its own without needing to be stretched. If warmth comes, allow it. If a sigh arises, welcome it. Why does it work? The gesture activates receptors in the pelvic, fascia, and signals to the nervous system that there is safety. Safety releases containment. Released containment restores sensitivity. Sensitivity reorganizes the impulse to act without rigidity. Micro-movement to ancestral veiling. The softness. Let the pelvis draw slow circles the size of a coin. Feel the junction of the hips as a ring that begins to loosen. Let the circle arise from sensation, not from force. Imagine a spiral gathering threads of old stories and sliding them outward. The weight along the axis gives way by a few millimeters. The lower back breathes differently. Tingling lightness, or the urge to adjust your posture may appear. Allow the adjustment to happen. Why does it work? The spirals release myofascial chains connected to inherited protection patterns. When these chains open, the body stops responding to scripts that do not belong to it. The axis regains presence and attention returns inward with clarity. 2 veils have been touched with precision. The first softens the rigidity of stored emotions. The second loosens the silent inheritance that weighed on your body. The field is ready for the next key. The body already knows that something has been touched. There's a different space at the base, a breath that finds more path, and access that seems to sustain with less effort. It does not matter whether it was subtle or intense. Each response is a sign that the access has begun. Now the crossing deepens. It is time to touch the third veil, the sexual, not in the narrow sense of the word, but as a vital force that flows through pleasure, creation, and presence. This veil is formed when the body has learned to contain its own spark to protect itself, and in doing so, diverted creative energy into silence. Micro-movement 3, sexual veil. Bring your attention to the front of the pelvis just below the lower abdomen. Place your hands over this area as if guarding a fire that must not be extinguished. From this point, begin a forward and backward movement of the pelvis. Minimal, almost imperceptible, as if the body were breathing through this place. Let the movement be gentle, like short waves meeting the shore. With each forward motion, feel an ancient warmth trying to pass through. With each backward motion, feel space opening for it to expand within. This gesture speaks to deep muscles and to the fascia, connecting this area to the sacrum and the diaphragm. As you move, you tell the body it is safe to feel, and feeling is what dissolves the veil, because pleasure stops being a threat and becomes a creative force again. Stay with the movement for as long as you need, listening to your inner rhythm. You may notice warmth spreading, a clearer pulse, or simply a living presence where there used to be absence. 3 veils have already been crossed. The last one awaits. It holds the bridge between what the body desires and what life brings into form. Allow yourself to be still for a moment. Feel the body after the 3 keys have already turned. The base looser, the axis more alive, the center more present. Do not try to understand, just listen. Each pulse, each wave, each silence carries information that does not need to be translated. Now it is time to cross the last veil, the energetic one. It holds the bridge between what is born in the body and what is expressed in the world. When it is closed, desire finds no voice. Intention finds no gesture. When it is open, the flow from the sacrum to the heart and to expression returns. Micro-movement for energetic veil. Place your left hand over the base of the abdomen and your right hand over the center of the chest. Breathe as if the air were traveling between the 2 hands. At first, it may be only intention, but with each breath, let the torso trace a gentle arc forward and back, linking the 2 areas. Feel as if a warm current were being drawn from the base and delivered to the heart, and from the heart back to the base. This back and forth seals the path, creating a circuit that was previously interrupted. Stay in this cycle for as long as you feel, until you sense. There is no longer any separation between the energy that is born and the energy that is expressed. The whole body becomes a single vibrational field. This is the conclusion of the awakening of the sacred core. 4 veils touched, 4 keys turned, a creative center awakened, not as an explosion but as a steady fire. And from that moment on, the body keeps the memory that it knows the way back. Much of what is called healing is in truth training to better endure what remains trapped. We trade raw discomfort for more acceptable versions of it and call that progress. But nothing truly changes while the root stays intact. The most common illusion is to believe that understanding is the same as release, that a new, more sophisticated explanation could dissolve what was inscribed in silence. But the body does not move through arguments. It only opens the way when it is touched in the language it recognizes. Methods that ignore this language, even when wrapped in good intentions, only reorganize the prison. They change the color of the walls but keep the locks in place. And what needs to happen is exactly the opposite. Not reinforcing the structure, but dismantling it. The lived ritual, the gesture that speaks to the tissue, the nerve. The breath is what breaks patterns that have resisted for decades. Because there is no negotiation, no speech, only direct contact with what sustains the blockage. The micro breakthrough does not come from more seeking. It comes from stopping and feeling what has always been here. Waiting for the moment when you decide not to run anymore? Graham still wakes before the sun. But today, as he sits on the edge of the bed, he does not feel the same compact weight at the base of his back. There is a space there, small yet alive, that he cannot measure. He walks through the house and notices his steps meeting the ground with more steadiness. The coffee does not grow cold. He drinks it while looking out the window, feeling the air reach places that once pulled back. In the middle of the afternoon, as he leans to reach for something, he notices the movement was not interrupted. There was continuity, as if the motion had passed through a field that had once been closed. It is not euphoria nor complete relief. It is presence, and it now fills the place that, for so long, had been reserved for silence. When the last veil dissolves, there is no return. What has been released finds new pathways and takes up all the space that once was containment. The body remains awake as if every fiber had learned a new language. The base sustains, the center radiates, and everything that moves from here carries the mark of this crossing. The sacrum keeps the pulse like a guardian who knows the value of what it protects. The pelvis is no longer just structure. It is the living altar where creation rests before being born. The hips carry not only the weight of the body, but also the memory of having crossed through. The oldest tradition saw this moment as consecration, not an end, but the instant when the body and the energy seal a silent pact. Nothing will be held in the same way again. As Cole Jabran said, life is truly generous to the one who follows their own path. And the path now begins from within, guided by the rhythm of the creative center. With each step, the body remembers. With each gesture, the pulse responds. The awakening of the sacred core is not just a rite. It is the password that gives the body back the right to create without barriers. The veil has fallen. The center is open, and from here any reality can be born. If this journey through the body has awakened something in you, honor what was felt. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, not as an ordinary gesture, but as part of this ritual to keep the four veils dissolving and the creative center alive in the sacrum and hips. Share this video with someone you feel also carries layers ready to be released. In the comments, write, "My sacrum breaks through the four veils and releases the sacred core." This will be the vibrational seal that anchors in the world, the movement that has begun within you. Click on the icon appearing on the screen and watch another transformative video from the channel. Remember, what awakens in the sacrum echoes throughout destiny.